I'm with a troop of the Welsh Cavalry in southern Afghanistan. The Queen's Dragoon Guards are operating across Helmand province. Here their jackal vehicles are snurgling, an army term for sneaking around, sniffing out the enemy without being seen. It's hazardous. They've been attacked here by the Taliban before. Monmouth boy Jerome Tyson is one of the regiment's senior soldiers.
I think if you feel that you're going to get killed every corner you turn or blown up on every piece of road that you're on, you'll be a nervous wreck by the end of it. So you try and do the best you can, pick the ground that you can, be as safe as you can. We've got good kit, well trained, so we've got a good chance of defeating the enemy whenever we come across them.
The gunner on Jerome's vehicle is Marine Thomas Davis, or Tomo. He's been attached to the Welsh Cavalry and has only a fortnight to go, as he likes to remind them.
15 days, mate. 15 days. Through that, like, rock.
This is reconnaissance, finding out what the enemy are doing, for example by listening to their radio communications, known as ICOM chatter.
Yeah, literally on the right hand side of that rock.
Yeah. That's the entry point.
Right now we're getting a lot of ICOM singing. The Taliban are actually singing, and there's a good indication, especially from other tours before that they're singing to prepare themselves for battle. And they're also singing about how good the Taliban are and how crap the infidels are, who are us basically.
In the army, there's a lot of waiting around for the action. And today there's time for the Marines' Welsh mates to wind him up. They're envious of him leaving before them.
As we got a Marine with us, mine and Keith's job is to try and break him before he goes in 15 days' time, because this is his end of tour, and we've got 2 months left, so we shall break it.
No, they won't.
We had you, bro.
Yes. No, he didn't.
He was nearly crying. No, day. You asked for a packet of tissues. you wouldn't speak to us.
I was
like
about to flash, yeah, but I didn't break.
Nearly broke. You were broke.
15 days, I won't break.
You sure that's tea you're drinking? We won't play with his kit when he's doing this kind of stuff, which is pretty dangerous, so we just wait for that downtime to do it.
There's a lot of good-humoured banter in the army. Unfortunately, Tomo's luck is about to turn. A week later, Tomo's troop is on an op near the village of Mian Pushte. They're here to take on the Taliban. The insurgents strike back with RPG rockets and small arms fire, and that's when Tomo gets hit. His gun points helplessly into the sky.
You right, Tom? Tom, you right? Tom, you're right! Tom, you're right! You can't get me! He's shot, soldier! He's been shot in the shoulder!
To keep the enemy away, some return fire with grenade launchers and machine guns, while others deal with the casualty.
It's bandaged. Got one time gun straight in the back! It's Tomo! Marine Davis! Gunshot shoulder to the left shoulder! Right, the stretcher's here! The stretcher's here for him to go! Okay, stretcher's here! Bring the next tackle.
The mates who were ribbing him just a week ago are now making sure he's going to be okay. When a soldier's given morphine for the pain, it's written on his face so other medics know.
Yeah, he's just having morphine! What's that morphine again on your wagon? Last few days, mate. Last few days.
Tomo's put in another wagon for helicopter evacuation to Camp Bastion.
He can drive, but you can drive a car. I'll get on the back. Can he drive a car?
The loss of a gunner means the troop has to reconfigure itself quickly.
Shot! Get out! Beam's got back. Shot, gate holder. Shot in left shoulder.
Then they send up smoke grenades to cover a quick extraction. Marine Davis is making a full recovery from his shoulder wound back in the UK. This has been the worst winter tour for casualties since 2001 in Afghanistan, as the regiment's commanding officer knows only too well.
We've taken more casualties on this operation than any other operation that we have done for many, many years, but that is not really that surprising, considering the nature of what the British Army is doing out here in Afghanistan. It is the most challenging environment, most challenging operation that the Army has been engaged in, I would argue, for decades.
For Sergeant Butch Davis and his troop, these are nervous times. It would be too much for someone to get injured now, just a few weeks from the end of suffer a serious injury, and knows he has to keep his young troopers alert.
It's a fact of life now, isn't it? You know, we're always gonna have enemy there. I don't think the terrorists are just gonna go away overnight. I think during my lifetime they're still gonna be around. My wife have found this tour harder than the other tours that we've done. But I think most wives have, because of, you know, it's a bit more dangerous. Everyone worries a bit more about it. My mother and father have found this one a bit harder, I think, out of all the ones I've done.
Today's mission is routine, to escort the commanding officer to a lunch meeting with Garmsir's governor. Supporting the Afghan authorities is vital in the fight against the Taliban. The colonel's here to find out what are the security and reconstruction priorities.
The people want our presence. They want the presence of the government of Afghanistan, because what they are seeing is all the progress that's being made here. And what they see from the enemy is the Taliban taking over their compounds at gunpoint, being taxed by the Taliban. They get nothing other than bad news, really, from the enemy. So I do think that the prospects are very good for the future.
Meeting over, it's back to the Fob Delhi base. Another patrol completed without incident. But then Garmsir's a relatively safe area for Helmand province. It's a different story further north. Welsh cavalry at this patrol base near Musakala have been coming under regular heavy attack. Back in January, one night was nearly fatal for Trooper Yayan Jenkins.
I was on sentry duty from about 3 till 5 in the morning. So I'd stayed up rather than going back to bed. All that I'd finished. I'd had my breakfast and I was just getting ready to go back into bed. And the Taliban decided to attack us. I'd only just managed to take my boots off, so they were back on, and I was using the binoculars to try and find the targets. There was lots of rounds coming in, and there was mortars going out, and we were firing back. There was loads of loud bangs going off while the mortars going out, and then one of them sounded a lot closer, and I felt like I'd been winded, like I'd been hit in the chest area, and it knocked me back. I told the other guy who I was with, I said, I think I've been hit, I'm going to drop down. I dropped down and I took my body armour off to have a check, and initially I couldn't see anything. I took my top off and I couldn't see nothing. I put my arm down and I could feel like blood on the inside of my arm, so because it was quite far around, I had a look round and I could see the entry wound then. The hole, when I seen it, was probably just a bit smaller than a 10-pence piece.
Although a small external wound, the shrapnel did a lot of damage.
I broke the 8th and 9th rib, or fractured the 8th and 9th rib where the shrapnel went in, punctured the lung. It kind of ricocheted down and ripped my diaphragm, ripped through the liver. It caught the kidney just slightly, and then I think the shrapnel ended up lodged in the gallbladder, which I had removed then. I was able to breathe, but it was really hard. Well, I only had the one lung working. It was really shallow breaths, and it was really painful. It was like being winded, but not being able to catch your breath back.
Were you worried?
Yeah, shitting myself. I was terrified. I was never left alone. The boys were amazing, kept me reassured, telling me I was going to be fine.
He didn't have to wait too long for the Chinook helicopter to arrive. It was to take him and the 2 other injured Queen's Dragoon Guards to Camp Bastion. One of them, Lieutenant Garland, had a serious throat wound.
I could just see his feet there, and I knew that he was quite critical. I could hear that. I could hear Shanks, the medic. I could hear the shouting, and I could hear that they were, you know, in quite a bit of urgency, trying to help him. When I got into the helicopter, the doctor offered me morphine. I said no at the time because I wasn't in any pain, and I didn't really fancy taking it because I knew it makes you sick, and I was out having trouble breathing anyway. I regret that. Big time.
Why?
They tried reinflating my lung twice, and it's a case of putting a really large needle through your ribs, your lung, and it is very painful. If something like that happens to anyone, they say, "Oh no, I'm never scared of dying," then they're pretty much just going to be lying to you, because I was. But I was also confident in the medical care that I was given and that I was about to receive when I got to the hospital.
After treatment at Camp Bastion and Birmingham, all 3 have been recovering. Jenks has been with his mum and dad in Tredegar since January.
I seemed to cope quite well with the actual news when they came to the house and broke the news to us. But that 5 minutes travelling up to the ward was really horrendous.
You didn't know how bad the injury was, did you?
That's all we knew, that he had chest injuries and abdominal injuries, but we didn't know what. And we didn't know how bad. We didn't know that he was in an induced coma to keep him sedated, you know. We knew nothing at all, really. Like all parents, you never think it's going to happen to your son. You hope it doesn't happen. We just did DIN, and that's just it. We just have to get on with it, like Ian says, you know. It's no good dodging on it. You just got to, well, get on with life, I suppose, you know. I mean, it could have been, he was so lucky, it could have been the other way. We could have ended up with no son.
I filmed Jenks, as he's known, when he joined the Welsh Cavalry. In Iraq 3 years ago, when he was just 18, he was the youngest in the regiment. He nearly died on that tour when the Land Rover he was in toppled over onto him.
Twice now he's got hurt when he's done overseas postings, and I think, thank God, I hope it won't be a third time, but it kind of prepares you in case there is, and I think I could cope with it better next time. Like, as I say, kind of prepares you just in case it happens again. It's a strange feeling, really. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope to God it doesn't.